What is up, my friends? How are we? I hope you're all having a lovely Thursday evening. Thank you for joining me as always for a chat. And tonight we're going to talk about Delap. Are Liverpool really interested in signing the Ipswich striker? Well, some people certainly believe so. We're also going to be asking about the latest in Virgil van Dijk, Mohamed Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold's contract situation, as well as any other chat that you guys want to go through. As always, it's your show. You tell me what you want to talk about. Lance Anderson. I glanced down and I swear for a second I read Lance Armstrong subscribing to the channel. Welcome in, Lance. Appreciate you, my man. Thank you for becoming a member. So yeah, I hope you're all well. Is it still 1-1 in the United game? It was, as I was turning on 2 penalties, 1 apiece. And it was 1-0 to Spurs as well, last I checked. So, as always, my friends, we're going to give you the very latest. And there seems to finally be an acceptance among some of the Liverpool journalist contingent that maybe they won't be keeping the 3 boys, or at least all of them, in the summer. But we'll try and figure that out between us tonight, as always. The Delap stuff I find very interesting, though, and of course, we'll go into it in more detail in a while. We'll give you some stuff from Fabrizio Romano. We'll be talking about Kirkhouse a bit, a little bit about Isak. Some breaking news from earlier on around a contract offer not from Liverpool to Virgil van Dijk. Well, a rather substantial amount of money, some might say. 400 G's a week. So yeah, nostalgia about Mane tonight, thinking that we never replaced them. Well, do you know what? Really weirdly, Gear, mate, I was looking at the results in the Saudi Pro League there just a few minutes ago because I was flicking through all the latest scores on the phone. And Al Nassr are now 4th in the Saudi Pro League. So Mane and Ronaldo not exactly flying over there. So look, thoughts on all the latest news is very much welcome. We're going to get stuck into it now in a couple of moments. But before I do, just got to play a quick 83-second ad from our incredible sponsor, Surfshark. And then I'll be right back to you and we'll get straight into it. This video is sponsored by Surfshark, the best VPN on the market. Surfshark is an app or browser extension that allows you to change your location to access websites in other countries and keep you safe and secure from hackers. Using Surfshark, we here in Ireland can access other countries' Netflix libraries or other streaming platforms like DAZN in Spain for all those important Premier League games. Surfshark keeps you safe and private by protecting everything you do online. Everything. When your device connects to the internet, all that information is, in a way, blurred out. Surfshark is particularly useful for keeping you safe from being hacked if you use public Wi-Fi. Let's say you're in a cafe, you're at college, you're out and about, they've got you covered. Surfshark allows you to use one subscription on unlimited devices, meaning you can share your account with friends or family or that neighbour who's a little bit cheap. On top of all of this, Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee. You can also upgrade to Surfshark One, which includes the VPN, an alert system for breaches related to your data, such as emails and credit cards, and an antivirus software for your desktop. Our sign-up offer gives you Surfshark VPN for a little over €2 a month. Simply scan the QR code on screen right now. Right, my friends, as promised, we are back, and thank you again to our incredible sponsor Surfshark and to you guys for your support. Right, let's see, James LFC 86, welcome into Anfield Agenda FC, my man. So lots of people speaking about Romano being vocal on Virgil van Dijk, and look, there is the international break coming up now, of course, after this weekend. There's been a bit of chatter that the club are going to try to double down and get some of the contracts sorted during that little bit of a break, and hopefully they do. You know, of all the players, surely Van Dijk's the one that you got to keep at the club. There's just no sensible reason. Same with Mohamed Salah in my view, and I'm sure in yours as well. But yeah, we got to get that one sorted, and hopefully we will get some news soon, because no, they can't keep putting it off, can they? It's not much longer to go. So I'm trying to be upbeat and positive tonight, because there's been enough negativity from me and lots of other people, but I refuse to believe there isn't a plan somewhere in all of this. Just whether we agree with that plan or not, I guess, is a whole another conversation. Mark, how are we? Chat, hear me out. Isak for Jota and Nunez plus cash. I don't think Newcastle would want. I certainly know Newcastle don't want Darwin. Anyway, I can promise you that one, Mark. It's been written about quite a bit. But let's wait and see. Robbie Collins, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, Robbie. Appreciate you coming back, my man. Thank you. Right, so let's start off with the Isak stuff this evening, folks. This came in earlier on from Fabrizio Romano to say Liverpool will be there for Alexander Isak, meaning we will be looking to make a bid. For them, it'll be a busy summer. We'll touch on that in the next few days, said Romano when he was speaking earlier on. So we have to make sure that he's available first, because we've also seen reports to say that Liverpool do like Isak, yes, but we won't go for him unless Newcastle make him available. I just struggle to figure out the plan here about Isak, or indeed the front line, because we talked last night about how many changes we expect to be made this summer, and I think we were expecting somewhere between 3 to 5. At least that's what the vote was in the chat last night. So yeah, there you go. Let me know. I'm so confused by it all. I really am. I'm trying to figure it out. I hope we do get some clarity over this next couple of weeks in the international break, because yes, it does give the club a chance to, I guess, take a breather and sort this out. But my question is, and I don't mean that, well, yeah, I do mean this to be a bit shitty actually. Why do we have to wait for an international break? Because the players still got to be playing with their countries. And yes, Liverpool might have a bit of a breather, but what on earth has Richard Hughes been doing anyway? Like, that's a question that I must get asked probably more than any other. What is it that Hughes has been doing? So again, why are we waiting for an international break to try and get it done? I just hope it does get done. Liverpool did today unveil a multi-year global partnership with Visit Maldives. So if you're planning a little holiday or something, there you go. Maybe visit Maldives. I'm sure you could think of far worse places to go on holidays. Never been, but looks beautiful. Right, Tom. How are you, bro? And thank you for your super chat. Said Zubi plus Kubo. No thanks. Absolutely poo-poo. Yeah, look, watching Zubamendi in that United game so far, not exactly setting the world on fire, is it? That Sociedad midfield doesn't look great. Kubo looks a bit like a show pony, to be honest with you. You know, good dribbling skills, but not really too much end product. And I've never really believed that Liverpool were interested in Takefusa Kubo. But there have been reports, of course, in the past. How about Sesko if we don't get Isak? That's a really interesting conversation, Nimnoy, because remember, we could have a bit of a helping hand for Benjamin Sesko if indeed he is on the list. Jurgen is wrapped up with Red Bull now. We know he has a release clause. Maximum of that release clause is about 80 million euro if all the things are triggered. And the last time I checked, I think they were up to about 75 million on the release clause. It is based off how many goals, assists, and obviously how well they're doing in the league and whatnot. And qualification for Europe, I think, is another one. But he's absolutely available. But problem is Arsenal are also interested in Sesko. So let's wait and see. I find it very difficult to believe we're going to sign Isak. I really do. I've been thinking long and hard about this. And I'm not saying it won't happen. But I'm just, again, looking at where's all this money going to suddenly appear from for him. And then, like, say, a £45 million left back. And then a centre-back or two, depending on if Virgil says or not. I am pretty much at this point, I'm 95% expecting Trent to go. I just can't see a world where he stays here at this point. But again, we don't know. And that's a phrase we've been talking about quite a bit in the last while, isn't it? We just don't know. Shane Almond, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC. I want to give you some words from Dominic Soboslai ahead of the League Cup final coming up this weekend. Dom said, we're ready to fight. You never know who's going to play, but it doesn't matter on our side who's playing in midfield. Everybody is ready to fight and everybody is ready to give everything for the team. As they should be, Dominic. As they should be. But I do hope there's enough time for the players to recuperate because, you know, we did play Tuesday, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You'd be hopeful that we could get those players at least somewhat fresh for the game against Newcastle. I come back and forth on this one with Newcastle and Liverpool. Sometimes I'm feeling really confident. Sometimes I'm unsure. Then I think, of course, no Gordon for Newcastle, no Hall, and I think no Botman, if my memory's right. So how confident are you guys feeling ahead of the weekend's final? And it is a great occasion, one I'm looking forward to, and hopefully we can get Arne Slot's first trophy as Liverpool head coach. Tom Sharkey said, I think the peak Liverpool would have seen off Paris Saint-Germain. What do you think, Craig? Read a very pro FSD article by James Pearce, one of the biggest brown nose articles I've seen. So I did come on tonight trying to promise myself I wouldn't go on a rant about the journalists again, because I'm sure people are fed up with me doing it time after time, week after week. But I read the same article that you're on about in The Athletic. Look, I'm just sticking to I'll believe everything when I see it. situation at the minute. There is an acceptance, and I'm going to read this out actually from, I think it's Ian Doyle, that we probably won't keep all three of the lads. And I don't know if they feel one in particular is going to go, maybe Trent, but there does seem to be a bit of an acceptance now finally coming from the journalists that Liverpool may well lose some of them. So this piece here, credited to Ian Doyle of the Echo, said, Mohamed Salah, Virgil van Dijk and Trent, all of whom at present are set to become free agents in the summer. It's increasingly unlikely all three will stay. Trent is pondering an offer from Real Madrid. So on this, right, I mentioned this in my video earlier on today. He has the cheek to write, it's increasingly unlikely all three will stay, when all season the narrative from Lynch, from Doyle, from Gorst and from many others has been that Liverpool are confident that they'll stay. Liverpool are confident that the boys want to be here and they'll get contracts sorted out. Now, when reality's starting to dawn, all of a sudden, the attitude's changing. Why? Why change now? What's changed in the background that makes these guys now start to question the possibility of all three staying? Is it because they finally realised that FSG have been pulling the wool over their eyes with regard to the contract negotiations? Or are they finally accepting that maybe Trent Alexander-Arnold is perhaps more likely to go to Madrid? Either way, at least there's starting to be an admission now. But again, like I've said all season, it's always been the belief from lots of people that the three of them won't sign. We've all hoped that they sign, but at least there's now acknowledging the fact that they may not sign all three. But it still doesn't excuse the club's failures to sort this problem out a lot earlier. And that's the thing that winds me up as a fan. I want pushback. I want them to be asking, well, what's happened? How did we get to this situation? Did we really try to renew the three contracts? I've got a feeling that the Trent situation was done ages ago. And again, we're just playing it out so Trent gets his farewell and doesn't have to deal with a hostile environment or people maybe hissing him or booing him and stuff like that. But again, I think it's all going to come very clear in the next few weeks, and then people are going to be able to make up their own minds. Shane Almond, how are you, bro? Appreciate you. Said, Craig, long time no speak. Essex cop bite. Ah, yes. Yes. I won't lie, Shane. When I seen the name Shane Almond, I was thinking, right, Shane. Essex cop, I absolutely remember. I'm getting married in September, and I was wondering if you'd recommend any areas of Ireland for a honeymoon. Also, what's this about Delap? I absolutely could recommend places in Ireland for your honeymoon, my friend. Feel free to email me, Shane, and we can talk it through if you want, mate. But let me see. Where would I recommend? Depends what you want. You know, if you want a scenic holiday, I would say go over to the west coast of Ireland. But the beauty of this country is, my man, if you wanted to hire a car or whatever, you can get around it really relatively straightforward. Belfast is a beautiful spot. Where I live in Wexford, I'm a bit biased, but I think it's amazing. And of course, Dublin's always worth a visit as well. But it depends on your budget. It depends what you want to do. But I'm always happy to try and sell the country to somebody, my friend. So yeah, reach out to me via email, Shane, and I'll put together a few lists for you. Now, about Delap, let me get on to that one as you've asked. 1 second, sir. Right, so Graham Bailey has said, according to reports, Liverpool are stepping up their pursuit of Liam Delap. The Reds are in the market for a new forward. Now, I find this very interesting. I can't make the call of whether I think Delap would be a brilliant fit for Liverpool, but when I've watched them, and admittedly it's a handful of times, he's always struck me as somebody who is destined for a higher level than Ipswich, with all due respect to the Tractor boys. Whether he's Liverpool calibre or not, look, I'm not qualified to give that opinion, but it would depend on the price for me. I'd like a lot about Delap. He reminds me of a kind of younger Jamie Vardy to some extent. Always playing on the shoulder, always using his physicality, knows where the goal is. Of course, his father, another former professional footballer. So, it's an interesting one. I'm going to put it to the poll, actually, because I want to know what people think. Would you be happy enough with him? So, 1 sec. Someday I'll learn how to type and talk at the same time. Someday. Maybe I can go on a course or something. Okay. Right, so, question I'm going to ask is, would you be happy if Liverpool signed Delap as a Darwin replacement? I'm going to give you 3 options, because unsure is probably a fair option on this one, because I'm sure a lot of people probably don't know enough about Liam Delap. I certainly would probably put myself in the don't know enough about him category. I do know he came through the Manchester City Academy. I do know that he's impressed me when I've watched them, but it would be an interesting one. It would feel like a bit of a risk. I can't lie, it would. But would it be a risk worth it? I guess that might come down to the numbers involved. It's an interesting one. You know, it really is. I would probably feel more comfortable if he was brought in alongside somebody else. So let's say we brought in a Delap and a Shesko, or a Delap and a Cunha. Then I'd probably feel a lot more excited by it. But unsure. Yeah, I'd definitely say unsure for me. But I'll leave you guys vote away and we'll get back to it. Makes me crease that you can't talk and type at the same time. It's not just those 2 things, mate. My wife will tell you, I can't multitask at all. My brain just goes, whoa, 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 dude. Whoa, calm down now. There's too much going on here, Craig. You're not that smart, fella. But yeah, I wish I could. I can go to the toilet and look at my phone, if that works. But yeah, I can't do it. And even typing, it sounds like I'm assaulting the keyboard, doesn't it? Like, Yep. So, I want to know something in a little while as well. I'm going to ask you for a poll that has nothing to do with football in a little bit. So, remind me once we get through this one. But do keep your comments coming in, my friends. We do appreciate your support. And, of course, do drop a like on the stream if you can. Delap would have to be a backup to somebody of real class, said Nimnoy. But rather have a killer number 9, said Chancelot. Where was your first post on that one? Was there another one before that? We should look at somebody like Doué, Dembele. Look, PSG aren't going to let those guys go. But I can see where you're coming from. I think Arne Slot really admired the work rate and the pace of those PSG forwards. He mentioned it in an interview again recently that pace is something that he admires. And I think I want more pace as well. You know, we spoke about this actually last night on the stream. Pace is something that I do think we're missing a little bit at the minute. We could certainly do it a bit more of. So, yep, I wouldn't mind a bit of pace. I wouldn't, because I love the days of the Mane and Salah at his peak, absolutely just tearing down the sidelines. Andre Nielsen said, Delap can replace somebody like Jota, but he can't be our main man. Yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting show, alright. Can you drive and talk? Or do you sit there silently, the whole family are chatting? Can I drive and talk? Sort of. I'm one of those people, if I'm looking for something, I'll lower down the radio. You know that? If you're driving along and you're looking for a door number or something, I'll turn down the radio because I can't concentrate and do that. But yeah, I don't like talking when the radio's on or in the car either now. Shane said, I actually like Delap. So do I, but I just don't know if I like him enough for him to lead the line at Liverpool. I'm sure Arne Slot will have an opinion on it, and let's see if there is truth to this. But again, just for those coming in, said according to reports, Liverpool are stepping up their pursuit for Liam Delap. The Reds are in the market for a new forward. How about some words from the great man, Mohamed Salah, speaking about the Carabao Cup final on Sunday. Mo said, it's not just another game. It's great to play in a final and to win trophies, and you realise you can't take them for granted. I feel excited before these big games. As you should. You should. It's always lovely to pick up some silverware, and in Arne's first season, you know, let's be honest, we're all hoping here for a double. Now, I said a double there before anybody goes in and starts saying it's not the double. I know, but it would be a double. Martin said, careful all, Craig's going to ask us something that's not football related, but he thinks he's going to ask him to lend him a fiver to put in Liverpool winning the cup. I know, if I was betting him, I'd be wanting more than that, Martin. I'd be asking for more than that, mate. Do you know what though, honestly, I've mentioned this to you guys before, I always bet against us in cup finals for a very simple reason. If we lose, at least I get some money from it. If we win, I don't care. That's the way I do these things. Honestly, every cup final, I bet against Liverpool just so I have something if we get beaten. And more often than not, though, I'm a happy man because we win. But if we lose, at least then you get a few bob from it. That's the way my brain works, by the way. So welcome to the world of my head. Nimnoy said, how much will Delap cost? Haven't got a clue, mate. Have not got a clue. What's this? Cool. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, I've not got a clue. I haven't seen a number mentioned, so no idea. What do you think he's worth, though? I think the number you've mentioned, about 40, sounds reasonable to me. George said, I'd like Ekitike. I think Newcastle are looking at Ekitike as a potential replacement if they lose Alexander Isak. Muckrab said, I mean, for the final, I wouldn't be too annoyed if we played well and Newcastle get their first trophy since my mother was born. Look, I don't ever want Liverpool not to win a trophy, mate. So I want us to beat Newcastle. Make no mistake about it. But they're a great club, Newcastle. And if we had to lose to somebody, well, then, you know, I wouldn't begrudge the Geordies a trophy. But I begrudge them from the point of view if I want Liverpool to win it. But, you know, at least if they don't win it, it's going to a good home. Let's just say that. But I still want us to win it. Paro, how are you, bro? Said, for me personally, Craig, I wouldn't want Delap right now. Could be a great player in the future, but right now, if Salah is to go, we need a certain goal scorer like Isak. It's a fair point. It is a fair point. And like many have said, maybe you'd look at him as a supplementary striker. So, if we lost Jota and replaced him with somebody like Delap, I'd probably be a lot more comfortable. And then we had whoever the real number 9 is going to be, whether it is a Shesko, whether it is an Isak, whether it's a Cunha, whether it's a, I don't want it to be a Jonathan David actually, but you know, I could understand that then. I'd certainly, maybe I should have asked the question a bit different. You know what? I'm going to change it. Apologies, but I'm going to change the vote. Because I have an idea. Now let's try and talk while I do this, right? I'm going to keep trying to talk while I type this out. I'm still trying to talk here. Talky talk. I'm not really able to conduct a conversation, as you can see. Right. So this time I've changed it a little bit. And I'm going to ask, would you sell Diogo Jota to buy Delap? Because I feel like I freaked a lot of people out there by asking, would you take him over Darwin? So let's go a different way then. Let's say if we sold Diogo Jota and we got 40 million, would you spend that 40 million to go and sign Delap? Maybe go from there. Get a boy with a neat finish and a brain equals upgrade. Do you know, I'll always have resentment over the Darwin situation. Not resentment at Darwin, but it's so frustrating because you can see all the tools. You know, Darwin has every attribute needed except perhaps confidence and composure. But physically, he's got it all. His work rate's tremendous. I don't think anybody ever really questions that. On occasion, maybe one game, but in general, his work rate's amazing. But it'll always go down to me as one that could have been. And I hope he doesn't leave Liverpool and then suddenly go on a mad one in his career and score 33 seasons in a row or something. Another penalty to United? My God. So that's 3 penalties in that match now so far. 1 each in the first half and now another one to United. My God. That's mad. To be honest, João Pedro's not worth 100 million. Not a chance. I would agree with you on that one. Not a chance is he worth 100 million. Somebody said to me, bangs of a very Michael Edwards type player, and potentially, but yeah, he's not worth 100 million. Remember how he played for Benfica at Anfield? I do, but that game, I was looking back over that game last night, actually. So we won that tie 6-4 on aggregate. We beat them 3-1 over in Lisbon. Then we brought them back and played them at Anfield. We were 3-1 up in that game, so 6-2 on aggregate with 15, 20 minutes to go. And then they scored 2 late goals to make it 3-3 on the night, 6-4 on aggregate. So I feel we kind of took our eye off the ball a bit that night as well when the job was pretty much done. But yeah, I do remember it. Because people were looking at Liverpool's recent knockout record in Europe, and it's not making for great viewing, in all honesty, at Anfield in the last few years. But context is always needed for some of those results. What's happening with the contracts? Well, a couple of things. So we've got some journalists finally admitting it's unlikely all 3 stay. Hi, Echo boys. But there's also been articles to say that Liverpool intend to use the international break. I'll read this one out to you. From TBR Football, said Liverpool will use the international break to make a renewed push to try and hammer out terms with Virgil van Dijk and Mohamed Salah. Nothing there about Trent. So let me read that again to you. Liverpool will use the international break to make a renewed push to try and hammer out terms with Virgil van Dijk and Mohamed Salah. TBR Football understands. Nothing about Trent. So, are we to just give up on Trent at this point? Is there finally an acceptance across the board that Trent is going? Because again, even what gets me about the lads at the Echo, or many of the journalists that cover Liverpool, is they won't go out on a limb. They'll say it's unlikely all 3 will stay, but they won't say what they know or what they think. If they don't think all 3 will stay, who do you think isn't going to stay? Just come out and say it's going to be Trent, and then let everybody deal with the situation. I think, Dave, well, firstly, bro, thank you. Wow. Absolute legend, mate. Appreciate that. That's incredibly generous of you. I think you meant to write FSG, though, right? Instead of PSG. Do you know what? My phone writes FAG all the time when I'm trying to write out FSG. And it's a word I never use, so it annoys me that it corrects to that. Because I've never used that derogatory term to talk about anybody. But yeah, my phone always does me dirty in that as well. Anyway, you said, hey, Craig, I hope you're well. I am, Dave. Thank you. I'm really starting to get pissed with FSG, Edwards, etc. really trying to destroy this team of ours. I don't care who we buy. If Mo and Virgil leave, say goodbye to challenging for the title next year. I agree. I agree, mate. Look, we had a discussion last night where we said there's every chance that the work that Edwards and Hughes do may pay off down the line. I'm absolutely open to that. But like you've said and many others said, we don't want to have a season where once again we win the league and it's an outlier. And then we fall away again and we're 3rd or 4th next year. We want to defend it. And I agree with you, sir. We have to keep hold of Mohamed Salah and Virgil van Dijk to give us the best chance to do that next season. I would say most people probably agree with you on that one, Dave. For me, though, the one, like, the absolute minimum is Virgil. I just think there's no world right now that we could change centre-back and be competitive next year to win. I just don't see it without Virgil. So, but I do agree with you. I'm starting to feel like this bangs of a big money saving exercise again, Dave, from these owners. But look, you know my take on the owners. Cheap, cheap, cheap. I say it over and over and over and over again. But I think there is no escape in this summer because everybody's been told what to expect, which is a load of dough spent, big changes. So there's no hiding place. But the question I ask everybody is, if they don't sign the contracts for Virgil, Mo and Trent, how do you sell that? Because there's no world where you can say, well, we let these lads go because we want to refresh the age of the squad and we're going out to buy these lads. There's just no world fans are going to accept that. Because we've seen these lads have a brilliant season. Virgil still looks as good as ever. I just can't understand how they could sell this to the fan base. And that, well, it's not my problem. It's not your problem, but it's something that they're going to have to consider. Heard all this last international October. If FSG want to sign some lads for pennies and pray they turn into stars. Monkstown Glass, I agree. We've had so many conversations this season where It started off, we have to get these contracts done by the end of the summer transfer window. That wasn't done. Then it was Christmas. We were getting the Christmas unveiling, remember? That wasn't done. Then it was going to be done during the January window. That wasn't done. And now here we are in March time and same old, same old. Now, to make it even worse, and I don't mean to be a doom and gloom merchant, but I got to report what's out there. I would say to take this source with an incredible pinch of salt. But Sports Zone, published in Get French Football News, say Ibrahima Konate would certainly prefer to join Paris Saint-Germain than extend with Liverpool. The Merseyside club are aware of this and are going to submit a new contract renewal offer for the France international. I don't believe that. I don't believe that Ibu wants to leave Liverpool and go play for Paris Saint-Germain. I know he's a Paris boy, don't get me wrong. But he's also a formidable centre-half at a club where he's idolised, a club where he loves playing. But it does make you think again, how have we not got these done? You know, right now, there's the three lads, then you've got Kelleher, who's got 1 year to go, you've got Konate, who's got 1 year to go, you've got Diaz, who's got 2 years to go, but looks like he's angling for a move. It just baffles me that there isn't any of them being done. And I don't believe it's an accident, and I don't believe it's because people are asking for too much. I believe it's intentional from Hughes, Edwards, and those higher up at the club. Craig, I think that's just his agent subtly forcing PSG to get on with it. Or, excuse me, FSG to get on with it. I should hope so. Look, again, I'm baffled. Like, today we finally seen Joshua Kimmich sign the terms of his new deal. So, Bayern Munich had 4 players who were running down deals, and they got every single one of them sorted while still being in the Champions League, while still being top of the Bundesliga. How is it we can't do it? Manuel Neuer, Jamal Musiala, Joshua Kimmich, and Alphonso Davies. All done mid-season. And I would say for big money as well. But we can't get one done. But we're working on it though. You know, we're working on it. Priority number 1 for Richard Hughes. They're working on it. Shane said, I can answer, Craig. They're lowballing them. Is there anybody who has a positive aspect about the contract situation? Because I know I can sometimes be doom and gloom about it. But is there anybody out there who thinks that there's a plan at play here that will make sense to us all when we hear it? Or are we sticking with the lowballing? And I think Edwards would probably happily get rid of Salah tomorrow. In my mind, if I'm being honest, I would say Edwards would get rid of Salah tomorrow and feel like he could bring in a younger, hungrier player and not miss a beat in his mind. But I don't think that. Right, let's have a look-see. So, poll is up. Would you sell Diogo Jota to buy Liam Delap? We'll leave that running, so do get your votes in. Devon said, I used to be positive a few months ago. Mary said, nope. Colin said, nope, absolutely not. Paro said, I don't see why FSG don't cough up dough more often. We've had so many signings that have turned out bargains, and all of a sudden they feel they need to be wary. They're too cheap for a top Premier League team. Yes, they are. And it's not even a debate anymore. I was on The Athletic earlier on reading, and The Athletic is, by the way, I'm christening it now, and I don't mean the journalists, I mean the commenters. The Athletic is peak FSG brown-nosed territory. And again, not speaking about the article, speaking about the commenters on there. It is absolute nonsense. You go on there and it's almost like people are getting erections thinking about FSG saving money. And it's always the same argument, that they're responsible owners. But the responsible aspect wore off a long time ago. Yes, we know the club has to be self-sufficient. We're all aware of that. We've heard it enough. But they're cheap. They're cheap. I don't... Are these people really football fans? Because I don't think they understand it. It's baffling. FSG are blatantly cheap. And I cannot wait for some of the autobiographies of the likes of Gini Wijnaldum and others to come out in years to come, where we'll finally get to see exactly what we all know. That they don't give a damn and that they're cheap. Because we're being told they're geniuses. We're being told that they, have the smartest guys in the room working there. But nobody can give you or I a valid reason to allow the contract situation to get to this point. Not one. Haven't seen a journalist write about it. Haven't seen something that's made me go, oh yeah, I can think about that. Nope. Shit the bed with Trent. Allowed him to manipulate the situation to his advantage. Didn't sort it out. And now we're all sitting here again in March being told, relax lads, relax. Smart people at the club. Smart my arse. We need to start... Fans need to start cutting through the bullshit that they get served up from some clubs. Because everything you hear in football isn't always true. You've got to take it with a pinch of salt. You've got to read between the lines. Younger, hungrier, not missing a beat. Good news, guys. We're getting Saka. I mean, it'd be incredible, wouldn't it? But won't happen, but it'd be incredible. How can we be positive? Just lost the match. I think we might have won if the contracts were done and a bit of reinforcement to the squad, and we might have won everything this year. Monkstown Glass, my friend, that was the game that, for me, made it very abundantly clear why I was calling for silence. Tuesday night was the reason. It's great when you're top of the league and it's great when you're in competitions and all, but you don't win anything in January. You win competitions in February, March, April time. And now we're starting to see jaded players again. And no rotation because the manager doesn't trust the players. So everything that we've been told is horseshit. Everything about being unable to improve it. Lynch saying we've got 2 great players in every position. All this other shit is just proven to be spoofery. And when it comes down to it and we need players from the bench to come on in a crunch moment, in a crunch tie, we don't have them. We don't have them. And they can't tell us we're wrong anymore because the manager's not using them. The manager has no intention of playing Chiesa, doesn't trust Elliott. So where are all these 2 players in every position we're constantly being told about? It's not true. Lance said, I'm here in the US and based on what FSG has done with the Red Sox, it's not comforting as a Liverpool fan. They're trading away one of the best players of a generation because they're cheap. I don't understand Major League Baseball, but I've read a few pieces from Sox fans that are believing that John W. Henry's more focused on trying to build that new entertainment plaza and whatnot than he is about keeping them competitive, because he doesn't think, at least according to these pieces, that there's much point in trying to be competitive because the Dodgers have got it all sewn up for the next few years. Again, don't really understand Major League Baseball, but I've seen that written quite a bit. Ian Doyle of the Echo is also Captain Obvious, has come in and said, left back has, in any case, long been regarded as an area for a refresh, with Milos Kerkez on Liverpool's radar. But goalkeeper aside, an open mind is being kept on almost every other position. Thoughts on that? That apart from goalkeeper, an open mind is being kept on every other position. Couldn't mean the 3 lads in midfield, though. They must mean an extra midfield body or something, because surely Soboslai, Gravenberch and McAllister are going nowhere. Pyro said, it boils my blood the amount of players we've had that have left for either free or very low offers. I can't see how anyone can support FSG any longer, considering we could have had another 3 go in May. I think they've cost us trophies. I do, and I'll forever say this. And what really pisses me off is they bring in the manager of a lifetime for us in Jurgen, and they don't back him. They don't. Whatever anybody says, they don't back him. They back him somewhat, but not enough. And that was a turning point for me, because I sat one night, and I remember the night, I remember sitting there thinking, so we've got a manager who's proven that he can transform players, who's proven that he can make Liverpool winners again. And instead of kicking on from there, they just doubled down and ran these players into the ground. And then 3 seasons in a row, we fell away in certain competitions in the business part of the season through exhaustion and injuries. And yet there's still people applauding FSG. For what? It doesn't take balls to spend no money. It takes balls to show up after you've spent no money, but it's not clever to spend no money. It's cheap. And I'll always feel like we could have had more trophies with Jurgen. And like I have a phrase that I say to you guys all the time, what we win, I think we often win in spite of FSG. Like this season, what did they give the new manager? And they'll say Chiesa, but he doesn't want Chiesa. Doesn't have any interest in playing him. He's already been talked about being sold in the summer, so can't believe that was an Arna signing. Giving him nothing, and we've won a league. In spite of them, not because of them. I genuinely question if some people get paid to be journalists. Some of the stuff they come up with is mind-blowing. It is. But it's important you understand why they have to write what they do. So sometimes there's pressure from above and these people to be positive. And I know this because I've spoken to people who worked there in some of these institutions who've been told to be upbeat and positive. But it's all coming from the same place. Fear of losing access. That's it. That's the power dynamic in football. Liverpool can dangle these things over these journalists and they know that their careers are pretty much done and dusted if they get booted out. So it's a difficult position for them to be in. And I don't envy them having to bite their lip or bite their tongue sometimes. But the reason that I start pushing back against them so much was, as much as I can understand them not having the ability to call out FSG, the part that winds me up and the part that's made me so vocal is they do have the cheek to then look down on other people for doing it. And I'm not just talking about me here. I'm talking about fans all over social media. They have the cheek to belittle all of those fans for having some ambition. And that's when it was too much for me. That's when I just couldn't bite my tongue anymore. George said, I'm convinced Klopp left because of FSG. Again, I think another interesting thing actually about somebody who departed the club was the goalkeeping coach, John Achterberg, said that if we had have signed Nabil Fekir, we wouldn't have been able to sign Alisson Becker because we wouldn't have had the money. Now remember, at that point, Fekir was doing his medical, had got pictures taken, and then all of a sudden there was an admission that we couldn't sign Alisson if we'd signed Fekir because the money wasn't there. And that's coming from John Achterberg. That's not from me. That's not from you. That's not from, some fella on X. That's coming from the former goalkeeping coach. So yeah, I very much believe that there was a clashing of heads between the way Jurgen wanted to do things and maybe the way Edwards and co wanted to do things. Pyro said, they chat nonsense. Journalists with brown nose to keep access. At what point do they even make an inquiry about certain decisions? How can they straight lie to the fan base and dig us out? So the part that makes me laugh is sometimes they're intentionally misled by the clubs. They're fed stuff and even they question whether it's bullshit or not. But they have to run with it. They're all basically, they're in a really unenviable position. Like, I would say that a lot of them would kill to have the freedom that we have, or the United Stand have, or AFTV have, or Chelsea TV, or whatever. But they don't. And the problem that they have with us is we've built our platforms ourselves. We didn't need to rely on the club. We didn't need to rely on anybody else. We built trust with our audience through years of repetition, through streams, through getting to know them, and through building that trust. They don't have that. They don't have that. And that's why they can be domineered in the way that they can, because they don't have freedom. One of the things I enjoy most about what I do is the freedom to do and say whatever I feel. Now, of course, I have to be within the law. But if I'm unhappy about FSG, I can come on and talk about it, because who's going to tell me I can't? That means so much to me as a fan. How do journalists actually make money? 90% of them post the same things. They make money, some of them, depending on what they're in. Like, some of them are paid a salary, obviously, from the newspapers, whatever they write for. But it's funny is you have a lot of them now trying to dip their toes into the video content side of things as well. But again, they can't be honest. or as honest as they would like to be, because there's always this niggling doubt at the back of their minds of, shit, am I going to lose access here? But I think the real telling thing is when you look at how many of these guys either worked for or want to work for the club. Like, if you look back through the history of club media officers and stuff like that, it's not going to be something that surprises you to see the same familiar faces and names. Ash said, that's what makes me enjoy the Gary Neville interview. He asked hard-hitting questions, the kind of questions journalists should be asking, instead of the waffle. Yeah, I agree. Now look, I think Neville let Ratcliffe off the hook with a few things in that interview, in all honesty, but you're right. I don't see the same pressing questions but I also feel it's unfair to Arne a lot of the time as well. Like, Arne's been asked questions that Hughes should be answering, but Hughes doesn't make himself available by the looks of it, so difficult one. So I agree. Like, I don't know if you've noticed the difference in me since we've changed the chat, but I feel excited to come on and stream again. Because this is a pleasure to come in and chat with everybody. And thank you, man. I appreciate it. It was a really nervy decision for us to make, to do it. But I'll tell you how it worked out, right? So after that week, I had said to everybody in my close circle, my family and Connor and that I'm not going to do any more live content. That was my plan. I was going to step away from doing live content, finish out the watch-alongs this season, and then just go to pre-recorded content all the way from now on, because I couldn't deal with the toxicity of some of the chat. And then my wife, of all people, said to me, why don't you just go members only chat? And I said, I don't know, Sabrina. I think that might ruin the channel. So we gave it a try. And then we had the watch-alongs this week. And the moment for me where it clicked was the Paris Saint-Germain game. We had the highest ever viewers on the channel. And then I kind of asked, well, do you know what? How many people watch and maybe just are like me and don't comment? Because I watch loads of YouTube stuff and don't really comment. Not football stuff as much, but I watch IFL TV and I watch some other boxing channels and stuff. But I wouldn't be a commenter. And then I just kind of thought, yeah, you know what? Most people probably do just watch in the background and don't comment too much. So hopefully the subset of people that maybe this is an issue for, we can find a way to figure it out with them as well. Like, for instance, I won't say names, but there was somebody in the chat who has been with us a long time, but wasn't able to afford a membership. So we can make them a mod and still give them the ability to chat and whatnot. And that's important to me, because I never want anybody to feel isolated. Shane said, can you also explain why we didn't build a new stadium like Bramley-Moore Dock? Our expansion options are limited, to say the least. We rely on people leaving their home so we can expand further. Well, there's two answers to that question. There's my answer and there's most people's answer. Which one do you want? Because if you want most people's answer, it's Anfield is hallowed ground. And to leave Anfield would be incredibly difficult. And there's definitely a lot of credibility to that. But I'm not somebody who feels over sentimental about things in life. And I'm a shiny and new person. So for me, I don't think it was an accident that in both the situations where FSG came into clubs with storied stadiums, i.e. Fenway Park and Anfield, that they chose the cheaper option in both instances. Because yes, a lot of fans will have wanted that, of course. I'm not trying to deny that whatsoever. But I don't believe in coincidences, and I don't believe that them always choosing the cheaper option is an accident. So for me, Shane, the reason is because it was cheaper. Simple as that for me. I don't think they gave a damn about Anfield. And if it had been cheaper to build a new stadium, I feel like you'd be in a new stadium now. That's my answer to it. But as I said, there is a very understandable answer about Anfield, the history, the traditions. Of course, I understand that as well. But you are right. You're limited to what you can do somewhat. But the decision was made, and to be fair to them, the work that they have done to Anfield's brilliant. You know, night and day from when I start going over as a fan to how it looks now. It's so much more open, welcoming. But, you know, when you see United maybe looking at a 2 billion, 100,000 seater stadium, when you see Spurs moving into their new stadium, Everton to Bramley-Moore Dock, which is a great stadium, but I felt like is a bit pared back, the Everton stadium, if you get me. I feel like they could have done a bit more with that one. But look, I don't know. I would have loved Liverpool to either be in Stanley Park or down somewhere along the docks personally, you know, because it can be difficult getting to and from Anfield, especially if you're travelling over and you don't know the local bus routes or whatnot. We should have built a 100,000 seater stadium. I remember Ian Ayre's comments on this, saying that they want that sweet spot where demand outstrips supply. But, you know, look, ultimately, I'm grateful that more Liverpool fans get to go to games of football. I'm grateful for that. But it's really strange that in my lifetime as a Liverpool fan, never been able to get on a season ticket waiting list. And the ticketing problem isn't going to go away. You know, the more successful the club becomes, the bigger the ticketing headache becomes. So, yeah, it's a difficult one. And I don't know of any way to get tickets now unless you buy hospitality ones. Or, you know, because I'm never going to be able to build up the credits, nor are you. So it's a tough one, but we have what we have. And to be fair, it is much improved as well. So, you know, full credit for that. I was watching in the background for 18 months before signing up, said Paul Parkinson. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, look, that never dawned on me initially, mate, when we spoke about maybe going member-only chat. When we were on Twitch, you know, that was the done thing on Twitch, so it was easy. But I tell you what, man, I haven't half enjoyed interacting with you all without having to fear for what I'm going to read or, you know, what's going to be said. So, yeah, thank you to you all for sticking with us. Tom, how are you, my friend? Hope you're well, Craig. Just over here in the background, you thinking about stopping live content? Hope not. We all love you. Hope you're okay. But no, that was the thought process before we switched to member-only chat. Because I'm just not built for being trolled as much as I have been, mate. I'm just not. You know, I can deal with it. But my biggest frustration in all of this stuff is I can't do anything about it. Like, you know, if you're walking along the street and somebody calls you a prick, you can confront them and have your say. When you're dealing with somebody hiding behind a keyboard somewhere in the world under a fake name that they can just go and recreate 50 accounts, it's frustrating to me because I'm a confrontational person. If somebody has something to say to me, we'll talk it out. But I can't do that when they're behind the keyboard. So it just wound me up more and more and more and more to the stage where I was shaking and vomiting. So this was the solution. And I feel brilliant. I feel so much more relaxed doing the streams. Right, what else have we got here, folks? Right, let's talk Virgil for a minute. Virgil van Dijk. Actually, before we do, just a reminder, because we did get a ticket and update this morning, the end of season show is on sale. If anybody wants to come along and doesn't have their tickets yet, you can get your tickets with the link in the description of this stream and lots of our streams. Everyone you can see on the screen there will be there that night. Myself, Steve Bland, Jack Gill, Connor Crosby and Chris Stonage. And a bit of an update, my wife's coming now. Booked Sabrina's flights earlier on today. It was just going to be me heading over, but Sabrina's coming with us as well. So Mrs. Anfield Agenda will be there on the night. And thank you to everyone that's already got their tickets, by the way. I can't wait to come across and see you guys again. Feel at home when we go to the Hot Water Comedy Club because it's an incredible venue and they always treat us so well there. So hope to see you guys there. And as always, any moderators that want to come along, your ticket is on me. So if you're a moderator who hasn't got a ticket and wants to come, let me know and I'll sort that ticket out for you. What's the capacity currently at the show? The theatre we're in, first of all, I think the one we're in now is 160. Something like that. Then we can go up to a 230. No, hang on. It's 140. then we can go up to a 260, and then there's a bigger one again that we won't be getting near. We won't be getting to that size one, but I think the maximum capacity there is 500 and something in the biggest theatre. At the moment, we're in a theatre that's about 150, I think, and we've sold about 65-70% of the tickets for that. And then if we sell that, we can move into the bigger one. So the aim is to get about 200 people there. That's the aim for the show. Ash said, as I touched on yesterday, you're the most interactive channel when it comes to the chat engagement, which sadly trolls will often target. A few bad apples will spoil the bunch. Yeah, but, you know, fuck them is the easiest way for me to say it. Right, let's check in on this poll. Should you sell Jota and buy Delap? 57% say yes, 29% say no, 14% say unsure. Now, the question that I was going to ask you is basically just a bit of market research here for me to be entirely honest about it. One sec. So I'm going to ask you what devices you watch us on, because we're trying to calibrate the channel to make it as good for you. So we've seen a trend on YouTube now of more people starting to watch YouTube on their televisions. It used to be just phones, tablets, computers, but now there's a real shift to people watching YouTube on their TVs. And, you know, if that's going to be the case and more people are doing that, I want to invest in a better camera to make it a better experience for people who have to look at my ugly mush on a television. So 1 second. There we go, and one more option. Right, so what devices do you watch on? TV, phone, computer or tablet, or all of the above? And then again, this is just to try and help us make the channel the most visually appealing to you guys in the way that you watch. Joanne, how are you, Joanne? Said, I love members only. Everybody cares about one another. It's like a family. I feel that way as well, Joanne. I often just pay attention to comments after somebody says it's my birthday today or something like that. I pay attention to the comments below, and it's always so friendly and kind. Been watching the odd show on TV for a while. You look very sexy. You're very kind, mate. I can't look at myself on a TV. Do you know what? There was something really funny. One of Connor's friends was staying in a hotel, and the person that stayed in the hotel before them didn't log out of YouTube, so they turned on the TV, and there I was. So the person who happened to be in the hotel before one of Connor's friends was subbed to Anfield Agenda and had left themselves signed in on one of the accounts, and you could see our videos on there, and they sent us a photo of it, which was lovely. Angela said, you do look and sound more relaxed. I'm glad the option was possible for you to continue. At the moment, I watch you on my smart TV. Watch YouTube only. My smart TV is not smart enough. Bit like me, I'm not clever enough to be messing around with devices as well. I would probably watch 95% of my YouTube on my phone, if I'm being honest. Like, for me, I would be mainly on my phone when I watch YouTube. Right, so Virgil. I did promise I'd get back to Virgil. So, this came in earlier on, and it said, breaking news, Al Hilal want to sign Virgil van Dijk and have submitted an offer worth 20 million a year. So, by my reckon, that's just about 400 grand a week offer for Virgil to go and play with Al Hilal. Now, I have a question because I'm not aware which Saudi Pro League sides are going to the Club World Cup. Is Al Hilal one of them? Again, I don't know which Saudi Pro League sides are going to be playing in the Club World Cup, but there is going to be an extra transfer window by the looks of it at the end of the season. Excuse me, I'm going to hiccup there, apologies. At the end of the season. How do you and Connor know each other? We know each other by me looking for a graphic designer on... Well, see, this is how I thought the story went. I put up a post on Twitter a few years ago, well, many years ago, asking for somebody to help with some artwork for a podcast I was doing. And Connor was one of the people who were in the inbox. But I later found out that he was just messaging a lot of content creators to see if they needed any graphic design done. Connor was the second person who replied to me, and I said to him, I've already got somebody who said they're going to do it. If they fall through, I'll be in touch with you. And that person flaked, and I'm very glad that they did, because now here we are all these years later. Connor's 50% owner of the business with me, and I couldn't imagine being on this journey with anybody else. So yeah, we didn't know each other before we started doing the Anfield Agenda stuff, and now he's genuinely family. Have you thought any more on the Craig Curious t-shirt or mug? I think it's too niche, to be honest with you. I don't think enough people will get it. We have got some designs on the way for champions, so keep an eye on those. But if you don't know, we do now have an Anfield Agenda shop. Don't plug it that often, but you can check out AnfieldAgendaShop.com for your Where's the Money John hoodies, your Anfield Agenda mugs, or your No New Law, No Party t-shirts. What was the reason of you going members only? Trolling and horrible shitty comments, mate. Not just aimed at me, by the way, aimed at other people as well as negativity. It was becoming really tiring. You'd be playing in a game, be half an hour gone, be 0-0, and some people would be coming in trying to make out like we should be making five substitutions. Everybody should be fired. This players aren't good enough. It became grating and just not looking forward to doing streams. So took back the control of it, and yeah, that's the reason. Al Halal are playing. Okay, cool. Thank you for that one. So yeah, then the fear would be that they would want to get Virgil in June before the Club World Cup. So yeah, Liverpool best get their finger out. I'm glad your wife came up with it. I've watched these since the Barca semi-final in an iconic chair. I've made your content part of my day and genuinely haven't missed a vid in months. Appreciate you, my man. Thank you. I still have the red and white chair. It's still in my living room. We brought it to our Dublin show when we did our very first show. We brought the chair and had it on stage. I sat in the chair for some of the show. Is your merch available for shipping to India? I honestly don't know, Nimnoy, because it's a dropship site, so I would imagine so, but I wouldn't be 100%. I know it ships to America because I've shipped stuff over there, but I think so. Do let me know if it doesn't, by the way. But yeah, I think it is. They've a partnership with YouTube, which is why we're able to build in the merchandise to our YouTube channel. Right, anyway, let's go back through the news, folks, because there's still plenty to be talking about. What's this? Oh, hang on. Atletico Madrid are monitoring the situation of Darwin Nunez closely, as they know they have to compensate for Antoine Griezmann's departure this summer. Darwin has set his sights on a move abroad and plans to leave at the end of the season, said Sasha Tavolieri. I swear somebody from Atletico Madrid came out in the last 2 weeks and said that they've no plans to go for Darwin Nunez. I'm sure I read that somewhere over the last 2 weeks. But it would be a good fit for him. I could see him in an Atleti shirt. A Bruno hat-trick. What was the third goal like? Zach said, have you thought about this? Carlo Ancelotti is basically leaving Madrid next season, and if they get Xabi Alonso, his back three at the formation wouldn't suit Trent. It might suit Trent if he moved him into a wider position. So again, Bruno's third goal. Can somebody tell me what it was like? Ash said, I hope Darwin goes to Saudi. Only way we'll get 60 million from him. I don't really care where he goes, in all honesty. I just want the club to get the most money we can from, and for that chapter to be closed and us to move on. It was the president of the club or his son, said Muckrab. Thank you. Yeah, I remembered something about it. I remember it being written somewhere that that they didn't have an interest in signing him. I think they even said they aren't looking at a forward. But there you go. I wonder though, do you think that Xavi Alonso's stock has dropped a little bit as a coach this season? I was thinking about this the other day because he got beaten 5-0 on aggregate by Bayern Munich in the Champions League. They're not really challenging for the title this year. Munich are kind of strolling away. I was in the box, damn. That's all I wanted to find out, Mark. Because I had him score outside the box at 20-1. So I was wondering if he'd scored from outside the box. But thank you. It was inside the box. So no use to me. Yeah, so do you think his stock has dropped a little bit? Because, you know, his stock was at its peak when they won the league, obviously. And they got to the Europa League final. But I wonder now maybe has his stock dropped a little bit. Right, so most people, 41% of people are watching on their phone. Thank you for everyone that answered that one. Hex said, I can't say I'm disappointed ending up with Arna over Alonso at this point. Look, Arna's been a great selection. I think we can all agree on that one. Rusba said, do you believe the Delap story? I don't know. I don't know because I'd be comfortable with him as a second option, but I don't know if I'd be comfortable with him replacing Darwin. So if we sold Jota and bought Delap, I'd be calm about that. But it is from Graham Bailey, I believe, in TBR Football. I mean, not sure of reliability there, in all honesty. Either way, I'm not saying they are or aren't. But yeah, I've not seen a price either, which is an interesting one. But I think Delap will move, you know, and that may make it an easy deal for somebody. You know, if he's going to leave Ipswich, if they get relegated, then, you know, he's got to go somewhere. Oh, so Spurs win 3-1. So Spurs are through, United are through, which is going to be decent for the coefficient for the English clubs as well. Spitz said the Delap story could be true because it'll be cheap because Ipswich will be relegated. Oh, actually speaking about that, my Premier League predictions video, I recorded it earlier on this evening and it's going to be coming out tomorrow morning. So keep an eye out for that one. Remember, there's only 8 games this weekend in the Premier League because Liverpool and Newcastle, of course, are playing in the Carabao Cup final on Sunday. So episode 2 of the Premier League predictions video will be out tomorrow. Would you be okay with Mbeumo replacing Mo if he goes? Yes, I would try. I don't think he'll ever replicate Mo's numbers, but then again, I don't think anybody will. But would I be okay with Bryan Mbeumo? Yes, I would. I think he would fit in very well at Liverpool and in an Arne Slot system. Yeah. So yeah, for me, I would take Mbeumo, but I don't know how much he might cost. And I remember Thomas Frank talking crazy money when he was speaking about it in previous windows. Para said, for me personally, sell Jota and Nunez with 30 million or so for Isak, promote Dans, then buy Kirkes and Huijsen and bring them back up right back to Bradley and promoting Bajcetic. Yeah, that would be an interesting one if the contracts were sorted out. If the contracts weren't sorted out, I'd have some concerns that way. Dylan Adams, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, Dylan. Thank you. Do you think if Mbeumo came to Liverpool that we wouldn't go for Isak, for instance? I think if Mbeumo comes to Liverpool, it's because Salah's gone. But that wouldn't change the centre forward need. You know, it's hard to figure out financially how, you know, if we let Salah and Virgil go, how we can replace them and still strengthen the rest of the squad financially, because you're going to have to pay a pretty penny to replace a centre-back like Virgil, even if it's the likes of a Schlotterbeck or somebody else, and then to replace Mohamed Salah, you would imagine that's going to be hefty as well. And that's just getting us back to the players and the squad depth that we have now. That wouldn't even be improving the squad depth. So a lot of work to be done there. I'm just worried that if we don't get Mo and Virgil done, like many people have said in the chat, we won't be as competitive next year, and it'll be frustrating. Because you want to go into defend the league title feeling confident that you're going to go and do it, or at least giving yourself the best chance to go and do it. Not like the last time where, you know, we did nothing after winning the league title. Mukarab said Saka and Bueno or Rodrigo are my only Salah replacements. Look, I think most of us would take most of them, but I can't see two of the three of them unrealistic, unfortunately. David said he'd love Delap as a backup striker. Rangers are going to extra time. Oh, days. What happened there? That was 0-0 when I checked earlier on. 3-1 on aggregate, obviously, to them. So, wow, that's some turnaround there. Extra time. David said, if we were in the market for a number 10, then I'd take Arda Güler in a heartbeat. Andre. Sorry, Andre. I didn't mean to ignore your comment, mate. I just seen it there now. Andre Nielsen said, do you trust these news stories that we'll spend money this summer? I feel like I don't care if they spend or not. They've too many times broken promises and get my hopes up, just letting me down. They have to spend money. I don't think it's even up for debate at this point. I guess it'll be up to each individual fan to decide whether they think it's an adequate amount of spending or not. For instance, talking about the Darwin situation, well, if you sell Darwin and buy a striker and you've pretty much traded one for the other financially, you know, that'll be okay, but you'd still need to strengthen the other areas. So right now, we need to bring in a centre forward and sell a centre forward, minimum. A centre back, a left back, probably a right back. Don't know what's happening in the goalkeeping department. And then we can talk about the Salah and Virgil stuff as well. So it could be a lot of business. And remember, we're trusting the man who couldn't sort out a contract in 9 months to get all these deals done in one window. Spitz said, even if we sign Mo on a 2-year deal, for example, we still need a Mo replacement this summer or one next, because it'll be the last for Mo and it'll be better to have one ready than not. That's what I've been saying. Proper succession planning would be to sign Virgil and Mo to 2-year deals and then bring in the replacements or the players that the club hope to step into those shoes and ease them in. And certainly for next season, if Mo stayed, I'd be hoping that Arne Slot uses him a little bit more conservatively so we can keep him fresh for the season. Thoughts on the 4-4-2's video of our game? I didn't see it yet, David. I haven't had a chance to have a watch of it. Anything that reminds me of that Paris Saint-Germain game, I'm staying away from at the minute because still heartbroken over it. Would I have Dembele from PSG? No. And it's because of the injuries. And I know he's had a great season for PSG. And if he has 2-3 good seasons in a row, fair enough. But there's never been any doubt about Dembele's talent. The lad's absolutely lightning quick and very good. It's just been injuries that he's had over the years. AM8, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, my friend. Appreciate your support. Thank you. Any chance we go for Nico Williams ever? So Nico Williams, Bilbao's Nico Williams, and not Neco from Forest. I'd like to think he's being kept an eye on. I don't know if Barcelona will finally get him over the line. Don't know if he'd be open to moving from Spain, although there were some reports in the past month that said he is open to a move to the Premier League. I'd be a fan. I'd take Nico Williams, but I can't say I know too much about Liverpool's level of interest in him. I'm not saying it is there or it isn't there. I truly just don't know. Do you keep an eye on loan players? Said Lawrence. Ben, Stefan, Lewis, Jaden, etc. Well, Jaden hasn't played on it yet for Sunderland because rehabs is still dragging out. Bajcetic is probably the one I keep the most of an eye on, but even at that, I'd say somewhat sparingly. Kumas I haven't really kept any eye on, and that's I probably should have, to be honest with you. Doak I was checking in on at Middlesbrough before he picked up that injury. But other than that, not really. Also I check in on the results for Valencia as well, just to see how many is going in past Mamardashvili. Have we been linked to Aina at all about a Trent replacement? Seems like the reasonable option if Bradley develops. Only from fans, David, that I've noticed. So his contract is up, right, at the end of the season at Forest. Now, Forest get Champions League football. Yeah, he's probably going to want to stay there, and why wouldn't he? But, you know, it's more something I've seen from fans as a suggestion than something I've seen really written about in the media with regards to Aina. Paro said, the only problem with Bradley for me, Craig, is having him first choice seems worrying to me considering all these recent muscle injuries. Thoughts? I hope it's something that he grows out of, as in when his body fills out, matures, becomes stronger, that it can limit these muscle injuries. But it's always a worrying thing when you've got muscle injuries for explosive players, because, you know, that is a huge hamper to, or impediment, that's a better word, to their progress. So I understand 100% that concern. I have the same concern myself. As a player, love Bradley. Attitude, love him. But yeah, I can't say that I don't have a concern about the muscle injuries. I'm not qualified to give a prognosis on the likelihood of that continuing, but it's the only concern I would have. The right wing I was annoyed at that we missed the most is Elise. As a centre back, I hope he signed, or don't miss Hoyson. Hoyson surely has to be right at the tip of the top of our list. 19 years of age. They're only talking about £30 million. If Virgil stays for 2 more years, that is a perfect time then for Hoyson to progress through. You know, then we could have, in 3 years' time, you could have 3 top-rate centre-backs in Kwanzaa, Kanade and Hoyson, and maybe somebody coming through from the academy as well. So yeah, it's tough though, because we can talk about all these things as fans, but you know, Bournemouth aren't going to want to have their squad completely ripped apart. They're not going to want to lose maybe Semenyo, Kluivert, Hoyson, Kirkes. You know, they've planned for Kirkes by bringing in Julio Soler. Christopher Aslanian. Welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, Christopher. Thank you for your support. How much would you be willing to pay for Delap? 30 to 40 sounds about fair. Or whatever we got if we sold Diogo Jota. But yeah, I think 30 to 40 sounds fair enough. Hoyson, easily 40 million, even less than that. Juventus messed up on him. The article I'd seen the other day said 25 to 30 is going to be Bournemouth's asking price. They're trying to get him to sign a new deal by the sounds of it, but 25 to 30 was the numbers mentioned in the piece that I read the other day. I'm not sure if Barcelona will go back for Nico Williams after the season Rafinha is having. He'll surely want to be a guaranteed starter, and Barca may well want to invest in other areas. Yeah, potentially Bruno. I think that's fairly rational, reasonable sentence, mate. I'd love him though. I'd love Nico Williams. Watch Arsenal go and sign him instead of a number 9 or something. That would be the most Arsenal thing to do. So does anybody in the chat think that Arsenal have a chance over 2 legs against Real Madrid? Because we now know the quarter-final. So, you know, on what would have been our side of the draw, you've got Aston Villa against PSG, second leg at Villa Park, and then on the other one, obviously, you've got Arsenal against Real Madrid, second leg at the Bernabeu. I'm going to be an interested observer of that game, because my prediction would be that they'll probably get a draw at the Emirates and then get beaten by a couple over in Madrid. Any news on Trent? No, Mukarab. Other than Ian Doyle of the Echo saying that Liverpool... No, what's his exact wording? I want to get this right. I hate misquoting people, so 1 second. There we go. So this piece said, Mohamed Salah, Virgil van Dijk and Trent, all of whom are present, they're set to become free agents in the summer. It's increasingly unlikely all three will stay. Trent is pondering an offer from Real Madrid. Yeah, look, I would be I'm 95% Trent's going. Again, have to say, I say this not based off any knowledge that you don't have. I don't know what's going on with Trent. But as a fan, my gut feeling is he's 95% out the door and we just need the confirmation. But I'm going to be interested to see how that news, if it happens, is received by Liverpool fans, because again, I'm going to feel like we were played along, dragged along, strung along, whatever way you want to say it. Nothing. If he leaves, nothing will ever convince me that his mind wasn't made up a long time ago, and that we weren't just dragged out as fans and played for idiots again. Oh, you mean on fitness? Sorry. No, not that I've seen. No, sorry, mate. Not that I've seen. No, maybe I've missed something, but what's this one? Right, so the Premier League is almost there in the race for an extra Champions League place, writes Dale Johnson of ESPN. England still top of it with a score 24.250, Spain 21.678, Italy 19.937, Germany 17.921. Yeah, England will pretty much get that extra Champions League place. So, yeah, 5 clubs in the league will get that spot, and then if one wins the Europa League, it'll be an interesting time. The best defensive solution for us would be to give Virgil 2 years, buy Kirkes, Huijsen, and then put money into a right back, whether that's a backup to Bradley or a first choice, allowing Bradley to develop. I agree. That would certainly be my thought process. But I would do the same with Mohamed Salah as well. 2 years, and then, you know, see how Kumas gets on, see how other young players get on, and bring somebody in to start the process now of building for when Mo leaves. You know, to try and just do it all and rip that band-aid off in one go feels a bit too much for me. I saw something. Trent will miss the cup final, however his injury isn't so serious, so maybe back after the international break. Look, it's going to suck that he misses the final, and so does Bradley, but you would expect probably a back four for the final then of Robertson, Van Dijk, Kanade and Kwanzaa. And to be fair to Kwanzaa, he's looked far more assured in recent times when he's been playing, even filling in at right back. David said, I was hoping England doesn't get the 5th spot. Apart from Liverpool, I wish all English clubs nothing but the worst in Europe. So, now that we're out of the Champions League, I won't lie, man. I'd be very happy for Villa if they did go all the way. I would. I can't lie. Arsenal, oh God, I couldn't think of dealing with them. But I congratulate them. I would, sincerely. But I wouldn't begrudge Villa a bit more of a European success, especially for Unai Emery. Really like him as a coach. He's obviously been through some tough times in his career with PSG and Arsenal, and that didn't work out, and he's rebuilt himself, and he's a great tactician. And Villa, a really good club. I have a lot of time for Villa fans as well, so I wouldn't begrudge Villa. I'd far rather Villa won it than Arsenal, let me say that. If the back line in this final doesn't show you how bare our defence has been this season, then I don't know what will. We only have Chimikas fit for the bench. But we've got 2 quality players in every position, Paro. I'm with you, mate. I agree. And I think we've ran a risk all season with the centre-backs as well. I think we've been very lucky that Virgil, for instance, hasn't had an injury. That could have... Like, we were a Virgil, a Gravenberch, or a Salah injury away from this season coming undone at the seams for me. And thankfully that hasn't been the case. Who do you want and who do you think will win the Champions League? The fact that the final's in Munich kind of makes me feel like Munich might cause a surprise on that side of the draw at some point. just because they have that final in their home stadium, and if they can, get through that side of the draw and get past Barca or Inter or whoever else is over there. On the side we're on now, who would I want? Villa. I'd like to see go through. PSG. Look, the closest they've ever been to me to being a complete team. Far better than when they had the Galactico signings, the Neymars, the Mbappes, the Messis. They look like a real cohesive team, well coached, with young, hungry, exciting players. I think the winner comes from our side. As much as I think Munich with the final in their stadium will make a big push, I do think the winner comes from whoever progresses through from Arsenal, Real Madrid, PSG or Aston Villa. So this side, I think, gets the winner. It'll be really interesting to see how Aston Villa get on against PSG. Obviously, we played them over 2 legs, 1-0 and 1-0, then lost on penalties. Villa have the second leg of Villa Park. So I'll be really interested to see how they get on over the 2 legs. Kyle said, I'm just a freeloader getting blessed with memberships. Thank anyone I got one from Brian Many. Always happy to support Craig in this fight against FSG gaslighting. Thank you, my man. Appreciate you. Harry said, I just don't get why you wouldn't back your manager in the transfer window in his first season. We've overachieved and I'm happy with this season, but the summer needs to be busy. So I guess the argument back, Harry, would be that the squad needed to be assessed this season. And, as much as I disagree with it, at least there's some rhyme or reason to that argument. But I do think not bringing in that midfielder is the reason we're out of the Champions League. Sorry, but I feel like that's the reason why. If we had, let's say, a Zubamendi that we could have used throughout the season, maybe Gravenberch is able to be at his peak. Or maybe we've a better option from the bench. We had very little to come off that bench that was going to really change that game around. Yes, we had Jones in midfield. Gakpo was totally unfit, so you would question why he was even on the bench. And we just didn't have anything. And that, to me, comes down to the lack of investment. By not getting that extra midfielder, I think we're paying the price for it. It's very... If you want to be blunt about this, you've got to say that it is a failure to go out in the last 16 of the Champions League. If you're taking that on its own merit, the title, brilliant. League Cup final, brilliant. FA Cup, it is what it is. But going out in the last 16 of the Champions League, you've got to see that as a failure. Because none of us would have said that we'd have been happy with the last 16 at the start of the season. You might not have expected to win it. But the first time we play in the knockout round and we're out, it feels very anticlimactic again. King Winter Soldier said, I said quarters of semis. Yeah, same for me. Quarters of semis I can live with. Last 16 just feels like the fears that I had all summer have just been proven right again. Same as the season before. Although, of course, season before was an even more frustrating one because Kloppo's last European game at Anfield was a 3-0 loss to Atalanta. The draw didn't favour us. Well, yes and no, Joshua. If we beat PSV, we don't play PSG. So the fact that we didn't go over there and have the ability to go strong and win that game is what made us end up where we were. If we had beaten PSV, then they would have gone down the table and PSG would have gone up it, and it would have been a very different situation. So it's kind of down to us as well that we went over to the Netherlands and lost. So yeah, the draw was unlucky for us, but again, we could have taken care of that and removed the situation where potentially we got PSG. Chris Shaw said, sorry late to the stream. I don't mean this to sound disrespectful, but Delap seems like when we signed Ings, good player, but would need to be a Sesko Cunha with him. That's kind of where the chat went, Chris. to be honest with you, mate. Initially, I was talking, said, would you be happy with him as a Darwin replacement? And as we start talking about it more and more in the chat, more people felt like if you maybe moved on Diogo, he'd be a great other option in attack. And I think that's kind of where we settled on it. So you're probably spot on, mate, with your assessment. So go on. Said, any chance of a quick run through of the news just from my plumbing course? Absolutely. There's no late video tonight, so I'll happily run through it again for you, my man. And thank you for your super chat. And I hope the plumbing course is going well. Right, so let me run through it for you from top to bottom really quickly. So the first story we spoke about was Fabrizio Romano saying that Liverpool will be there for Alexander Isak. For them, it will be a busy summer. We will touch on that in the next few days, he said. Then we talked about Liverpool agreeing a multi-year global partnership with Visit Maldives, making it the club's official tourist destination partner. And I might have to do a bit of market research on that at some point and get my ass to the Maldives. It looks like a beautiful spot. I want to go to Sri Lanka as well, actually, on a different note. Dominic Soboslai then was speaking a bit about the final, and he said, we're ready to fight. You never know who's going to play, but it doesn't matter on our side who's playing in midfield. Everybody is ready to fight, and everybody is ready to give everything for the team. And it would be a good way to make up for going out of the Champions League if, of course, we go and lift that trophy at Wembley at the weekend. It's not going to be easy. Newcastle are going to have a lot of hope on their side as well to end that long, long drought without a trophy. They have their own concerns, of course. No Hall, missing a centre-back, and they've got no Gordon as well. So let's wait and see what Sunday has in store. Then we went to a story that comes from Get French Football News via @SportsZone. And that story said, Ibrahima Konate would currently prefer to join Paris Saint-Germain rather than extend with Liverpool. The Merseyside club are aware of this, said this piece, and are going to submit a new contract renewal offer to the France international. I hope so. It's an absolute disgrace that this hasn't been sorted out yet, along with all the other contracts that haven't been sorted out. Ibu's right in the perfect age bracket. He's showed this season that he's, of the quality needed. Again, it makes no sense why this contract hasn't been sorted out, and Hughes and Edwards should be held to task for that, or taken the task for it, because it's a piss take. Then we went on to a story from, actually I don't know where the story comes from, but it was Anything Liverpool that posted it, and they said, actually who's this one? L'Equipe, excuse me, it's a L'Equipe story. Said Al Hilal want to sign Virgil van Dijk and have submitted a contract offer worth 20 million a year, so about 400 odd grand a week. Ian Doyle then of the Echo said Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk and Trent, all of whom are present, are set to become free agents in the summer. And then he finished with, it's increasingly unlikely all three will stay. Trent is pondering an offer from Real Madrid. Yeah, pondering. He's still pondering that offer. Definitely doesn't made up his mind yet about whether he wants to go to play in Madrid or stay in Liverpool, because it takes 9 months to make that decision. Not 2 weeks, 9 months. So we all definitely believe that he hasn't made his mind up yet. Definitely. Left back, Ian Doyle said, is in any case been long regarded as an area for a refresh, with Milos Kerkez on Liverpool's radar. But goalkeeper aside, an open mind is being kept on almost every other position. Then there was a story again from Ian Doyle saying, with Slot having already indicated Liverpool are in the market for a forward, the dearth of top quality strikers means they will face strong competition, with Liverpool among the many admirers of Alexander Isak. Then we had another piece that said FSG are going to have to splash the cash this summer. Liverpool are preparing to take their next big step into the Slot era. Next big step. Next. Oh, what have we fucking walked backwards so far. But yeah, okay. Then we had comments from Arne Slot said Alexander Isak is such an important player for Newcastle. He's an unbelievable threat. He has speed that, for example, the attackers of Paris Saint-Germain had on Tuesday as well. And then there was a story from Graham Bailey, and it said, according to reports, Liverpool are stepping up their pursuit for Liam Delap. The Reds are in the market for a new forward. Again, sticking with TBR Football and Graham Bailey, Liverpool will use the international break to make a renewed push to try and hammer out terms with Virgil van Dijk and Mohamed Salah. TBR Football understands. No mention of Trent in there though. And then we had a quote from Mohamed Salah about the Carabao Cup final where he said, "It's not just another game. It's great to play in a final and to win trophies, and you realise you can't take them for granted. I feel excited before these big games." So that's pretty much all the stories that we went through there this evening. And here's another one just coming now. Liverpool have sent scouts to watch 19-year-old Ajax defender Jurel Hato is another post. I don't know if they meant this evening. I think they were knocked out, Ajax, if I'm not mistaken, by Eintracht Frankfurt. So yeah, Liverpool sent scouts to watch him, according to the Mail. So yeah, that's pretty much it with regards to the news that we covered tonight on the stream. Sagan, and again, thank you, mate, for coming in. Lawrence Taylor upgraded to Anfield Agenda Ultras. Absolute legend, sir. Appreciate you. Thank you. Sri Lanka's beautiful, Craig. Been there in 2004. Unfortunately, when I went, the family Tigers were still doing what they'd done and got sorted to the airport by Sri Lanka Army as the year before the planes. Oof. Yeah, I've heard great things about Sri Lanka beach holidays, but there's so many places in the world, Ian, I want to get to. But thankfully for me, I am going away next week. Just a reminder to everybody on that one, actually. So from next Wednesday, I'm going to be not streaming for an entire week. I'll be away with the family, meeting up with Lee Gunner in Spain as well for a couple of days when we're over there. So I'll have a couple of videos that I'm going to pre-record, but that'll be it really. So there'll be nothing for a week. You don't need to worry. You don't need to think anything's wrong. Just going to be away for a week during the international break to spend some time with the family. Love the membership only chat, hence upgrade to Ultras. Thank you. Appreciate that, Lawrence. And Sagan, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC as well, my man. Heading to Morocco next week, said Jonathan. Nice. Let me know how you get on, mate. That's another place I've looked at but never went to. So for me, the holidays this year, obviously going away to Spain next week, and then we're going to Turkey for 11 nights in October for the international break. So can't wait for that as well. And also, don't forget about our end of season party at the Hot Water Comedy Club in Liverpool. Hope to see you guys there, where we're going to celebrate the league title in style. Myself, Chris Stonage, Steve Bland, Connor Crosby and Jack Gill all together for one night only. And Chris is going to interview me on stage for the first time ever. So if you want to come along and see me squirming under some awkward questions, you can get your tickets with the link in the description. And again, it's an all ages event and tickets are priced at £20. If you're a mod and you want to come along, let us know and we'll sort out that ticket for you as a thank you for all of your hard work. Will you take the chair to the end of year party? No, because we're flying over, mate. So yeah, can't bring the chair with me. But Sabrina's coming. Yeah, Sabrina, we booked Sabrina's flight today. Sabrina's going to come over with us as well. So can't wait to bring her back over to Liverpool. And yeah, we love the Hot Water Comedy Club. Right, ladies and gents, I'm going to say goodnight. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Don't forget, the Premier League predictions video is coming out tomorrow morning. And I'll see you guys 8:45 tomorrow night for the late night agenda. As always, the preview for the League Cup final will be coming out on Saturday morning, so do keep an eye out for that one as well. And thank you to everyone that joined us tonight. If you can't, drop a like for me before you head off. And thank you again to our sponsor, Surfshark. We'll chat to you soon. Much love. Bye-bye.